Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I would like to talk about living below our means today. One of the things that many people struggle with is finances and living high on the hog. People want more than what they can afford, and they think it's okay to just swipe that credit card because it don't hurt to swipe that credit card. What hurts is when the money actually leaves your account to pay that credit card, or when you're up to your eyeballs in that credit card debt. So, let's talk about how to avoid getting in that situation. The first thing to consider is, how much money do you make? If you only make minimum wage, then you're going to have to look for housing that is cheaper, and you're going to have to drive older vehicles. There is nothing wrong with that. And you're going to have to buy cheaper clothing, buy it secondhand, but there are ways that you can live cheaper and not put yourself in a ton of debt or cause yourself a lot of financial distress. Now, emergencies do come up, but if you live below your means and you're setting aside a little bit of emergency money, then those little emergencies are not going to cripple you. We put a little bit of money from every paycheck into our savings account. We're constantly chucking money into our savings account, and most of that is we're saving money for a piece of land because of the fact that we want to homestead. But the other reason is that if one of us was hurt and was unable to work, then we have that cushion so that we'll be okay. And that helps a lot. Now, we also, we both work for Walmart, so we don't make a ton of money, but we do make a good livable wage. But we don't live extravagantly. We buy older cars that are paid for. We don't see the need to rush out and go buy new vehicles just because we want them or because somebody else bought a new vehicle and we're jealous. Like, we don't think like that. What we think like is, why pay a car payment when the car that we've got is working perfectly fine? When the repairs of the vehicle exceed the value of the vehicle is when it's time to get rid of the vehicle. And for us, none of that is happening. It's been minor things like brakes. Like, I get it, brakes are like $500, but I've literally heard people say they got rid of their vehicle because it needed new brakes and they were tired of dealing with it. Brakes aren't that expensive. I think we have to pay like $500. The van needs brakes, and I think it's going to cost us about $500 or something for new brakes on the van. Our van is considerably more valuable than $500, so we're going to just repair the brakes and continue driving that van. It's a rust bucket. It's ugly, but this isn't about being pretty. This is about being financially responsible and recognizing that right now we don't need to take on a car payment. We're so close to paying off our house. It would be really nice to pay off this house and then have like this little time period where we have no debt, where we aren't paying for any interest, where we're just sinking a ton of money into the savings account. And if you get to that point and you're able to sink a ton of money into the savings account, that is all cash that is readily available for you to use. You can literally just go pay cash for a car and not have to pay thousands of dollars just in interest alone on top of paying for the car. So if you can push yourself to get to that point where you are actually able to put a ton of money away, then you're in a pretty good place. And we're almost there. I only owe $3,800 on the house. And I think our payment comes out Tuesday. So it'll be like $3,400. Something like that after Tuesday. So, and that's the other thing is housing. If you don't make a lot of money, don't go buy an expensive house. Just because you have, even if, like some people will be like, oh, I have good credit, so I could finance a $200,000 house because I have good credit. Well, that doesn't mean it's a good idea. If you can't afford to buy food and do any upkeep on your cars or even upkeep on that house, what is the point of buying that house? It's going to be a rundown heap and you're going to be starving. So, housing and vehicles, live below your means. Don't go out and buy some fancy new vehicle and hurt yourself financially if you could hold off and wait until you're in a better place to be able to purchase. So, another thing for living below your means, if you have, say, a lower income, you don't have to buy brand new clothing. I would say definitely buy new when you buy, say, socks and underwear, because that's just nasty. Don't buy secondhand underwear. Ugh. But when it comes to other things, you can walk into Goodwill or Salvation Army and you can get used clothing that is fairly cheap, and sometimes it even still has tags on it. It was brand new and people just didn't want it anymore. They had too much, so they just emptied their closet. I have literally done that. I have emptied my closet and taken it to Goodwill with clothing with the tags still on. Actually, no, it was Salvation Army. And I took a bunch of, when I sold LuLaRoe, there was a certain amount of clothing that LuLaRoe would not allow me to ship back. And so after I did ship back everything that could be shipped back, I took all of the brand new LuLaRoe clothing that still had tags on it and I boxed it up and I took it to Salvation Army and dropped it off because I didn't want to deal with it anymore. And I've done that with clothing in my closet before where I just went, I have too much clothes, and emptied it out and dropped it off at Salvation Army. And I generally go with Salvation Army over Goodwill because Salvation Army actually helps people and Goodwill really doesn't. So you can buy cheaper clothing, you can buy cheaper, you watch for sales on pretty much everything you buy. Don't buy things that are entertainment. Don't buy extras that you don't need if you don't have the money. Don't go charge stuff on the credit card. Don't charge anything on the credit card unless you have the money to turn around and pay off the credit card. And in which case, maybe it would be better just to pay cash and be done with it. In case, the bill gets lost and you end up paying late charges or something stupid. I have excellent, excellent credit. So does Ben. And it's because we don't take on a whole lot of debt that we can't handle. And we live below our means. We buy our groceries at Aldi's. Could we shop at Hy-Vee? Could we shop at Jewel Osco where things are more expensive? Sure, we could. But why? Why pay exorbitant prices on things that we need if we can get the same things and pay less elsewhere? We buy a lot of groceries at Aldi's, and then the rest of what we don't buy at Aldi's, we go to Walmart and we buy at Walmart. There are only a handful of things that I go to Hy-Vee for, and it is only because those things are not available at Walmart. So, what's another way that you can live below your means? Keep your energy costs low. Turn off the lights. Unplug appliances. In the summertime, hang your clothes on the line to dry. Don't run the dryer. Don't run the air conditioner unless you absolutely, absolutely have to have it. We did not use an air conditioner at all last year. And it was because we had a mild summer, so there weren't any dangerously high temps. We had 1 week of dangerously high temps, and it started the day that we left to go to northern Minnesota to visit my family. So We weren't even here that week. It was great because I left here and it was 96 degrees. And as we went north, we watched the temperature gauge on the van drop. It was 20 degrees cooler up in northern Minnesota. And the hilarious part was we get there and they were complaining about the heat and how awful it was and the humidity and stuff. And we were just shaking our heads and we're like, it's fine. It's 20 degrees hotter right now back at home. So if you can get by without your air conditioner, do it. It's only in the 70s here right now. We don't need the air. We just open up the windows. It's gorgeous out. Bring in some of that lovely fresh air. What are other ways you can live below your means? Well, I just drew a blank, so I guess I'm going to end this video. It happens. I didn't write anything down, and that's the problem. I don't write stuff down, and I should write stuff down, and I should be more organized about my videos, and these are all things I'm going to be working on, maybe, so I'm still stumped on, like, maybe renaming my channel, and I'm still stumped on catchphrases, because the most important thing to me is that it be original and that it be me. I don't want to go with something that is some name that's overused. I don't want to go with anything that is, I don't know, somebody else. I want to use what comes out of my head instead of what comes out of somebody else's head, because this is my channel and I want it to reflect my personality and my thoughts and my feelings. It just makes more sense that way. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to talk a little bit more probably in another video about living below your means, because it is very, very important that we all learn to live below our means so that we can save a little money rather than racking up a whole bunch of debt and being like the rest of the world, because Americans today think it is natural and normal to just rack up all this debt instead of scrimping and saving for what they want. If you're up to your eyeballs in debt, it is insane to take your tax refund and go take a trip to Disney World or something. The logical thing would be to take that money and knock out some of the debt and reduce some of the stress in your life. I am all about reducing stress. Stress is so unhealthy. Stress has caused many of my health issues to get worse. So I am about taking time and relaxing and de-stressing and doing what I need to take care of myself so that I can get healthier, because that is another very important aspect of prepping. You need to be healthier. You need to be more fit. So, but we'll talk about that in another video too. Thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to you guys soon in another video. Have a wonderful Sunday.